The National News Desk, locally covered, nationally connected.
The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal we made with Japan.
Trump and Powell together, and it wasn't all smiles. What the two disagreed on and what the president wants to see from the chairman as new trade deals are completed.
We're moving very quickly on everything we're doing right now, and August recess is going to be an opportunity for us to move even quicker.
The House wants the Epstein files, the steps being made for transparency, and why finally this is a bipartisan issue. And then it's getting costlier to insure your ride on the road. What's behind the recent rise in insurance prices? This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. I'm Dee Dee Gatton. Thank you for joining us. President Donald Trump took questions alongside Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell today as he toured the Reserve Bank's headquarters earlier. The two have been at odds most of this year, disagreeing on how the Fed should be handling interest rates. Well, now the president has been implying that Powell should be fired for his handling of renovation projects on two Fed properties. The two again at odds today on the cost of those renovations.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed. You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
So the president dismissed questions from the press about firing Powell today, but did say he still wants the chairman to lower interest rates at the next Fed meeting. Around $9 billion in previously approved federal spending is now canceled. The White House confirmed President Trump just signed the rescissions bill cutting foreign aid and money for public broadcasters like NPR and PBS. It's the first measure of its kind to get approved in decades. The White House indicated more rescissions packages are likely coming. 1 week after President Trump said to move on from Jeffrey Epstein, congressional members of both parties are doing anything but. Both Democrat and Republicans on Capitol Hill are trying to press the issue to get more files related to Epstein out into the open. National correspondent Matt Gelka has more on this developing story.
The hunt for full transparency relating to the Jeffrey Epstein files continues on Capitol Hill. A key House Oversight Subcommittee voted to subpoena the DOJ for the files after 3 Republicans joined Democrats to back the motion.
I just think it's important that the American people know what's occurred here.
I think it's very important. I will be supporting it, but it's very important that we protect victims.
Other subpoenas from the committee include one for Ghislaine Maxwell, a former Epstein girlfriend and co-conspirator currently serving 20 years for sex trafficking, along with subpoenas requesting Epstein documents from former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. The committee's chairman says they'll move quickly.
Republicans on the House Oversight Committee have been very interested in this Epstein ordeal for weeks now, and I told Mike Johnson that our members wanted to pursue that, so it's not like there was any cover-up from the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee, because our guys really want to know.
The subpoenas are another sign the Epstein issue isn't going away. New reporting saying Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump back in May his name appeared multiple times in unreleased files added fuel to the story. The White House has called it fake news, while Capitol Hill presses on.
So, it's not a surprise. Like, anybody who ever met him is going to be mentioned, quote unquote. So I don't think that's a big deal. But nor is it a reason to withhold the documents. I mean, you should put them all out there.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche met with Maxwell in Tallahassee, Florida, Thursday. In a statement earlier in the week, Blanche said in part, President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. The subpoena from the House Oversight Committee calls for Maxwell to appear on August 11th. She's continuing to appeal her sex trafficking conviction and has asked the Supreme Court to review her case, something the DOJ has asked the justices not to do. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka for the National News Desk, America's News Now.
Major developments out of the Middle East, where it seems that the peace negotiations for a ceasefire in Gaza have failed for now. After weeks of talks that showed promise of a possible agreement, both the United States and Israel have recalled their delegations in response to Hamas's latest demands to end the war.
While the mediators have made a great effort, Hamas does not appear to be coordinated or acting in good faith. We will now consider alternative options to bring the hostages home and try to create a more stable environment for the people of Gaza.
Global pressure has been mounting against Israel to end their war as the humanitarian conditions inside the war-torn enclave deteriorate. Israel has previously said they would stop if all of the hostages were released. The latest offer would have freed 10 of the believed 20 hostages still alive in exchange for more than 2,000 prisoners detained during the war. Police are investigating the death of Wisconsin grad student Elliot Hines. Officials said her body was found in the Mississippi River yesterday in Minnesota, around 17 miles from La Crosse, Wisconsin, where she went missing. The 22-year-old had last been seen walking near the river early on Sunday morning. Police are awaiting autopsy results for an official cause of death. And a missing California mother's loved ones are pleading for help finding her and her daughter. 36-year-old Whisper Owen was last seen in Fresno on Tuesday, July 15th. Her silver 2006 Chevy Trailblazer was seen on surveillance video a few hours later in Atwater.
We haven't heard anything about it since, and we haven't heard from her. Her phone is now disconnected. It just goes straight to voicemail. And we're just really concerned. We're concerned about the baby. The baby's 8 months old.
Owen's partner says she typically spends a few days visiting family, so no one suspected anything at first when she didn't return home. She's described as 5'6", 145 pounds. Anyone with information should call police. We are learning more details about the ambush-style shooting of 3 Ohio police officers outside of Cleveland just yesterday. Officers Brent Payne and Philip Wagner, left and center on your screen here, remain in critical condition. Officer Peter Gale, also hospitalized last night, was shot in the hand. The suspect, 28-year-old Michael Parker, was lying in wait with a high-powered rifle. According to authorities, he shot at officers Payne and Wagner as they returned to their vehicle after buying lunch. Officer Gale responded to a call for backup and was shot at while in his patrol car. Other officers helped get all 3 to safety. Parker was killed in the shootout. Lorain Police Chief says Parker had an arsenal of weapons and improvised explosives in his car nearby. Columbia University will pay the federal government more than $200 million. It's part of a settlement reached with the Trump administration, which alleged civil rights violations, though Columbia has not admitted any wrongdoing. As Christine Fresnel reports, the outcome of this case may mean others will follow suit.
Columbia University agreeing to pay $220 million to the federal government for alleged civil rights violations. The Trump administration says these pro-Palestinian protests on campus following the attacks of October 7th in Israel and Israel's war in Gaza that followed made Jewish faculty and students feel unsafe.
You can't have students that are locked into a library on campus with other students pounding on the windows outside, yelling, "Death to Israel, death to Jews," and having incidents on campus that are just unsafe.
While the agreement stipulates it does not give the federal government the authority to dictate hiring, admissions decisions, or the content of academic speech, President Trump posted that Columbia has committed to ending their DEI policies, admitting students only on merit. In exchange, Columbia will regain access to more than $400 billion in federal grants that were frozen in March.
It's not just money for Columbia. I mean, this is about science. It's about curing cancer, cutting-edge, boundary-breaking science that actually benefits the country and humanity.
Still, some worry about the precedent this settlement from Columbia may set.
What they're doing to higher ed is really incalculable in terms of the damage it's doing to this country.
The settlement comes as the Trump administration is negotiating with Harvard University, with which it's also locked in a lawsuit. Harvard, one of the few schools to sue, arguing the federal government's freeze on its $2 billion in contracts and grants is illegal.
It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. We're here working day and night to try to help people live longer, healthier, and happier lives.
And I should say more than 50 universities have been targeted by the Trump administration, which insists it will continue to investigate schools it sees as using racial preferences for educational programs and activities, Dee.
And Christine, do we expect what we're seeing here with Columbia will set the tone for some of these other schools?
You know, the White House certainly hopes so. This is being celebrated and touted as a victory. The Department of Education calling the settlement with Columbia a, quote, template for other universities to follow.
All right, live from Washington, D.C., Christine Frizzell, thank you. The man accused of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump last year will be allowed to represent himself at his trial. Today, a federal judge approved Ryan Roof's request, but said court-appointed lawyers must be there as standby counsel. Roof's trial is scheduled to start on September 8th. The judge has told him there will be no delay. This week, we have lost another huge celebrity from the 1980s following the deaths of Malcolm Jamal Warner and Ozzy Osbourne. Right there, professional wrestling icon Hulk Hogan, we learned, died this morning in his Clearwater, Florida home, apparently from cardiac arrest. Hogan transformed the professional wrestling world in both the 80s when Hulkamania was born, as well as in the 90s when he famously turned heel as a member of the villainous NWO. Hogan has been in many movies, starting with his role in Rocky III in 1982. Politically, he's been an ally of President Trump, endorsing the future president at the 2024 Republican National Convention. Hulk Hogan was 71. Coming up, layoffs continue to trend downwards, but there's a flip side to the new jobs report. We're going to break down the numbers. Then later, what's causing the birth rate to drop to an all-time low and what the government wants to do about it. Then the latest on plans to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system. We'll be right back. Over 125 million people are under heat alerts as a heat wave just intensifies. You can see it spreading here. Unusually hot and humid weather will remain in the mid-South to mid-Mississippi Valley throughout at least early next week. The heat will expand into the Northeast briefly tomorrow, building across the Southeast by this weekend. Highs could reach the upper 90s with heat indices possibly exceeding 110. As temperatures rise, it is important to know how to protect yourself. A doctor with the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center reminding people to drink water, wear light-colored clothing, and use sunscreen. He says to avoid the sun from 10 in the morning to 4 p.m., as that's when you're most at risk for developing heat-related illness.
Sometimes people will have severe situations where they do, in fact, collapse. Their body overheats and they just don't have a way to dissipate that heat. They might have seizures, and in the most severe forms, people die from heat-related illness.
Unemployment has fallen again for the 6th week in a row. On top of that, the 217,000 claims came in lower than analysts expected. But there is bad news mixed into this jobs report. While initial claims fell, existing unemployment claims increased slightly, suggesting it's getting harder to find a job. Federal unemployment, which is tracked separately, also increased in July. If there was anything good about the COVID lockdowns, it's that car insurance rates hit a 5-year low because no one could go anywhere. Well, now you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's seen their rates go down recently. The National News Desk, Steve Wolford, takes a closer look at the issue.
It's just been going high, really high, and it's just too much. So that's why I had to put it under my dad in order for me to afford my insurance.
Adrian Garcia feels the pain. So does DeAndre Matthews.
Robbing us.
He earns his living behind the wheel.
Come on, man. Insurance is killing us right now.
And his brother Julian isn't happy either.
If I'm paying insurance on my vehicle for 20 years, no accidents or anything, where's all this money going?
According to my sources in the local insurance industry, that money is going to cover more litigation between insurance companies and accident attorneys, higher costs for parts and labor, and more claims being filed. But in Texas, the state attorney general found another reason. Ken Paxton is suing one of his state's biggest insurance companies for allegedly violating Texas privacy laws by collecting location data from numerous apps on the mobile phones of millions of drivers without their permission, then using it to justify hitting them with higher insurance premiums. UNLV cybersecurity expert Dr. Greg Moody says most of us don't even realize many of our apps are gathering our travel data, where we're going, how fast we're traveling, and do it with our own consent.
Most of them, if they have a terms and conditions that you agree to, particularly then you agree to it and then different notifications pop up and says, do you want to allow access to these things? And when you say yes, that means you're doubling down that, yeah, they can have this type of access. Any app can get access to any data on your phone because it's installed, it sits on the operating system collects all that data.
Over 630,000 mini fridges are being recalled due to a fire hazard. Internal electrical components of the Frigidaire brand appliances can short circuit and ignite the plastic outer layer. Dozens of people have reported issues. The fridges were sold from 2020 to 2023 at Walmart and Amazon. Owners should get rid of them and follow instructions online for a refund. One of the nation's largest private health insurance providers is under federal investigation. United Health Group says it's complying with criminal and civil requests from the Justice Department over Medicare billing practices. United Health says it has full confidence in its operations. The company has had a turbulent past year. It's faced public blowback since United Healthcare CEO was murdered. United States fertility rates have hit a new all-time low. New data released by the CDC shows there were less than 1.6 births per woman in 2024. Births have been sliding for almost 2 decades as more women wait longer or never have children at all. Birth rates have been dropping worldwide, and now the U.S., like most countries in Western Europe, are no longer maintaining replacement levels for every generation, with about 2.1 children per woman. The Trump administration is looking into incentivizing birth rates, including supporting monetary baby bonuses, as well as subsidized funding of IVF treatments. 3 years after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, support for legal abortion remains strong. Overall, about 2/3 of Americans say the procedure should be legal in all or most cases. Roughly a third of people think it should be banned in all or most cases. Support for abortion still a partisan issue. 85% of Democrats, they think it should be legal in all or most cases versus just 41% of Republicans. 67% of independents support the procedure. The new findings are from an Associated Press NORC poll. That walk on the weekend might be doing more for your health than previously thought. Medical reporter Liz Bonish shares a new study on exercise and living longer.
Hey there, everybody. In one of the largest studies on fitness of its kind, researchers looked at exercise, which starts at any age, and found just a little goes a really long way.
Whether it's hot yoga classes or hiking a trail.
When you're outside, you can almost make it more your own.
What Ohio's My Fitness Suites instructor Michelle Menke suggests.
I think everyone should move. It doesn't matter how. Go on a walk, lift some weights, get in the pool.
May reduce your risk of dying early, no matter how little you do. British Medical Journal researchers reviewed 85 fitness studies. They looked at 7 million people and found compared to people who do not exercise at all, those who work out the most drop the risk of dying from heart disease 40%, the risk of cancer by 25%. Perhaps, Tyler Menke says, because it helps body, mind, and soul.
It's just great to be outside. It's good for your mood. It's good for your mind. It really lets you just decompress.
The good news is that even if you've been a couch potato and you start exercising regularly, you lower death risk 22%. Start weekend workouts or just add activity in your leisure time, and you drop it up to 27%.
Just move your body for 10 minutes, and you will feel so much better mentally and physically.
Now, what researchers hope to find out next is that if you used to exercise and you don't anymore, if that too will even help you live longer. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
Coming up, the millions of dollars of waste and potential fraud uncovered at preschools in the Pacific Northwest. We're back in 90 seconds. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering issues that matter to you. We are taking the pulse of America, and we start in Maryland, where recent flooding reached historic levels.
Videos of Saturday's flash floods in Montgomery County went viral. A woman being pulled from a floating car, a fire truck driving into deep water, intersections flooding during a single light cycle.
And here along Sligo Creek at New Hampshire Avenue, one of the county's flood sensors measuring a rise in the water level of 14 feet.
Matt Mazzarco is emergency management specialist for Montgomery County. He was watching in real time as the water rose, the spikes showing as graphs on his computer and on webcams mounted on the county's 35 flood sensors. He calls the event unprecedented.
Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Reed's office flagging waste and the potential for fraud within the state's preschool promise program. The investigation stems from a concerned citizen's complaint to Oregon's Government Accountability Hotline. The probe resulted in a management letter or a set of public recommendations to Oregon's Early Learning Department, similar to an audit. The dive uncovered $1.4 million in payments and awards to preschool promise grantees that the Secretary of State investigators believed are wasteful because they were made to preschools with unfilled seats, schools that never opened, and preschools that were allowed to expand their program despite chronic problems with unfilled seats. The Early Learning Department declined an interview with me today. In a written statement, they say they're working on the recommendations.
Democratic Virginia Senator Tim Kaine supports a plan to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system. He thinks it can be paid for by reauthorizing a Biden-era infrastructure bill.
If we put the decision about the upgrade in the hands of real pros, it's time that we do this.
They gave us a historic $12.5 billion to start this upgrade.
But U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy says it will take more than what Congress recently approved. He recently said the total needed to modernize air traffic control is $31.5 billion. Sean Cudahy with the travel website The Points Guy says people throughout the aviation industry agree an overhaul is much needed.
Especially at an airport like DCA that's really congested.
Coming up next, sometime this year at Lambeau Field, the Green Bay Packers are giving fans something totally new, inspired by something incredibly old. The reveal of their newest uniforms coming up next. The NFL season is right around the corner, and the Green Bay Packers are getting fans excited with new alternative uniforms, or alternate uniforms, I should say, that are 102 years in the making, taking inspiration of the uniforms worn in 1923, the first year the team was a publicly owned franchise. The Packers are breaking the mold again with these blue and yellow jerseys and hand-painted helmets with no decals to resemble the old leather helmet look. So far, the fans are already on board.
It looks good. Really good.
Looks really good?
Yeah.
I think the colors are popping too. I like it.
I'm getting a helmet for sure.
You know how much they cost?
Probably $350, $400.
I think $1,600.
No way. Oh, okay. Maybe I won't be getting a helmet, but those are cool.
His reaction was my reaction upon hearing that exactly. These throwbacks were planned to debut last year, but the team said they weren't ready yet. The team hasn't said when they will wear the new uniforms, but more apparel will be introduced before the season starts in September. Nostalgia always makes people feel good. I'm sure these will be a hit. That's going to do it for us for this edition of the National News Desk. We invite you to join us again this evening as we take a look into the planned meeting today between the DOJ and Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm Didi Gatton here in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight at 10.